this live proctoring training guide that's for those of you that are taking exams remotely. Um, so I'm going to try to share the most important things. I'm going to point you to several resources that we're going to ask you to review yourself before trying your practice quiz, and so you feel very comfortable when you actually take your first exam using this process. Okay. So why do we use remote live proctoring? Well, we want to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and everyone's treated the same. So we want to make sure that if we say there's only certain resources available to you on your exam, you only get to use those resources. You don't get to use other unauthorized resources like other people, other sources, etc. So because we have the advantage with the campus students to be able to be in the room while they're taking their exams and we can monitor the situation, we also need someone to actually live monitor our distance students as well while they take exams. We found that if we just use an AI proctor, that we can't really adequately see what's going on and monitor the situation. So you will have a live proctor that will be there to ensure that everything's going well and appropriate. And the advantage you have with the live proctor is the live proctor may interrupt you to say, oh, I can't see what's going on. Can you show me this over here or do another room scan? Whereas with AI proctoring, we would just have to give you a 0 because we didn't know what was going on. Since there's a live proctor, we can actually have the live proctor intervene if necessary. So we combine that with ExamSoft, which is an online computer testing software, and it keeps track of everything that you do while you're taking that test on a computer. And it basically locks you out of being to access anything else other than the exam during the exam. So with those two things together, we can feel much more secure about our testing environment. Proctors will flag any suspicious behaviors. So we do get a report the day after you take an exam that tells us if there's any concerns. We get green, yellow, and red flagging system. Green means they didn't notice any problems at all. Yellow means that they noticed some things that were a little different or out of the norm and that maybe we should look at. And then red means that there's high suspicion of a problem. So then we go from there and do our investigations from that flagging system. So what do you need in order to take these exams? Well, you're going to need a computer, of course, a laptop on which to take your exam, and you'll be using ExamSoft and Examplify to do that. Chromebooks and some tablets may not be supported, so you need to make sure that this will work, and you can click here. This is an ExamSoft site that will tell you if you have the minimum system requirements. Those change all the time. So even these may be out of date when you're watching this. So just go to the actual website, the ExamSoft website, to see if you are up to date on the minimum system requirements. You're also going to have, of course, a website browser. We use Google Chrome without any problem. So I would suggest you use Google Chrome. You must have a very good internet connection. You need this to upload and download exams and and a wired connection is a really good idea. Although not everybody has that anymore. You will need a secondary device that's either you can use your phone, a tablet, or a second computer. It must have a working camera and be able to have Google Meet installed. Google Meet is how you will interact with the proctor. And it must have also have reliable internet connection and be plugged in for the entire assessment. Obviously, both your computer and your secondary device have to be plugged in and have power for the whole time. A stand for the secondary device is advised, just so that it doesn't fall over and you're trying to prop it up with pillows or books or something, which is fine if it works, but if it falls over, that's going to be a problem. If your secondary device does become disconnected or dies or whatever, it's your responsibility to get that that fixed really quickly. And it's also if the proctor does get disconnected, they will call you back. So keep your ringer on, so that you know if you've become disconnected and you can remedy that quickly. Once you found out that you're not being live proctored anymore, you must stop working on the exam. We can tell if you continue to work on the exam after it's been disconnected, and that is a very suspicious behavior. So don't do it. If you get disconnected, get connected again on your Google Meet. Don't do any more work on the exam, and they will get you back into ExamSoft if you've been kicked out of ExamSoft. So don't worry about that. All right. You also need to have a microphone. You can't have any Bluetooth headsets or anything in your ears for obvious reasons, and you will be checked for that in the security check. Also, you're going to need your photo ID to show that whoever is taking the exam is you. So, general requirements, again, you must have your photo ID available, ready to show at the start of the session. You must have a private testing space. You have to be in a room by yourself with no one else. You need to have a very clear workspace. Your testing area should be clean and free of any clutters, papers, or prohibited items. I know I'm looking at my desk right now. It's a mess. I would have to put everything in a box for my exams. So you will need to do that as well. Your testing surface, you must be seated at a hard surface such as a desk or table. You must sit in a chair. Testing is not allowed on sofas, beds, or other furniture with compartments or cushions. Make sure you're dressed. Well, that makes me laugh a little bit, of course. No hats, hoodies, headphones, watches, or smart glasses. So you have to take off your watch too, and they're going to check your glasses if you have glasses on. You're going to complete a full 360 scan of your test environment for your live proctor, showing all four walls, over the desk, above the desk, and below the desk. So they're going to want to see all the things so that there's no concerns about what might be around you. Steps to complete. So that's steps to complete before exam day. Go to this website here. And this is going to take you through many steps of what you're going to do to get yourself set up. It'll answer a lot of your questions. There's also videos included in this on this website, and it's very helpful. So review the Monitor EDU proctoring policy thoroughly, which is all in this document. Watch both setup videos, which shows you how to set up your room and how to set up your second camera. Install Google Meet on your phone or whatever your secondary device is. Download the Google Meet app from the App Store or Google Play. That's how you do that. You also want to test your video and audio connection. There's instructions listed to test both your cell phone and webcam to ensure everything works properly. Test your phone placement, making sure that your phone is positioned to clearly show you, your workspace and computer screen, and any allowed materials must be placed between you and your phone, not on the side away from the proctor. So here's the steps for step by step for distance testing. So like I've already mentioned a lot of the things about the room setup. Ensure your room setup space is proper in your room is, I have to fix that. Ensure your room is properly set up. No electronics other than your computer, your secondary device set up at a 90-degree angle to have a full view of the screen, of your computer, both your hands, and the exam space. Make sure that's all set up. And then you're going to want to connect to your live proctor. You do this on your computer. Here's the link to the proctor that you'll have on another piece of paper too, or probably in your computer somewhere that you'll put so you can get on there. You'll have your proctor link, and you can see more information about connecting with your proctor here. There's a video about that. And then Monitor EDU will open in Chrome, and the average wait time is 2 to 5 minutes. Stay at your desk and wait for your proctor. Once your proctor gets to you, they will ask you to scan your environment at 360-degree view of your desk, your room, above your desk, behind your desk, below your desk, behind you, and you'll show the proctor your ID. They'll want to see your ears. They're going to want to see all the things that we need to see to make sure that you're not getting any unauthorized assistance. And then they will give you the password. So you'll begin your test and you'll take your exam. Once you're finished with the exam, you'll let your proctor know that you are done. And you're going to show your proctor the green screen, which is proof that your exam has uploaded. And then you may end your Monitor EDU session on Google Meet, and everybody's done, and that's it. Some questions. Can I use dual monitors? No. Unfortunately, only one screen is permitted. You're going to need to disconnect and turn around. We prefer they to be turned around if you have other monitors, or drape them before starting the exam. What if your internet drops mid-exam? So you should reconnect immediately with Monitor EDU. Do not work on the exam without a proctor. When you reconnect with Monitor EDU, they will help you reconnect with ExamSoft if needed. Do I need to be alone in the room? Yes, you can't have other people in the room. That would be considered cheating. Even if you're talking about where you're going to go to eat, you are not to be talking to other people. So they shouldn't be visible on the camera, or we shouldn't be able to hear anybody else during the exam. It should be a private, quiet space. Now, if your kids are screaming and running around, you're not going to have a problem with that, but try to make sure that you're in a quiet room by yourself, just so you can do well on the exam. What counts as a flagged event? Eyes leaving the screen. If you're looking in one space a lot, that will be considered suspicious. Background noise, a second person coming in and out. If you're navigating away, or if there's unusual movement, they will report that to us in the report. Can you use your notes or textbook? No, this is unlikely unless you are given an open book exam, but although that is rare. You may be able to use an erasable whiteboard eraser and marker and a specific calculator on some exams if there's multiple step math problems. However, most of the time you don't get to use any resources, but your instructor should tell you that before you take the exam. What are some common technical problems and solutions? If a webcam is not detected, you're going to have to check some different things to try to make sure your webcam is working. So, because the first interaction is going to be with a proctor on the webcam, and then you'll move over to the Google Meet. If your microphone is not working, you're going to need to check your mic permissions in Chrome. Ensure the input device is selected, and disable any Bluetooth headsets. If your screen share fails to launch, you may have to change your privacy selections. If a proctor chat is unresponsive, you need to refresh the Monitor EDU window. Do not close ExamSoft. If the problem persists, use Monitor EDU phone support line, and I'll give you the number for that in a little bit. Unfortunately, we've caught way too many people doing things that are considered cheating. which has been very sad and difficult on everyone. So just don't do it. We use Monitor EDU and ExamSoft data together to piece together what exactly happened in every situation. So we can see what you're doing on your computer as well as what you're doing physically in the room. And we lay those over each other to put the whole picture together. So Monitor EDU will maybe flag your eyes leaving the screen. And so then we can look at that very time and see what's going on in your ExamSoft choices. So we can do that. And I want you to know that so that you don't try anything. If we see unusual answer patterns and there's an audio event that we hear with Monitor EDU, we're going to suspect that you're getting help somehow through some audio event. If there's a long loss of connection with the proctor and continued activity with answering while you're not connected to the live proctoring, that's considered cheating. Unfortunately, this has happened quite a bit. So students lose their Google Meet for some reason, and then they continue to work and answer questions without a proctor. Now we realize there could be a short problem if there's some sort of disconnection. If it's due, but you are responsible. Don't tell us that your phone ran out of juice or something. You're responsible to keep them plugged in. That's not a valid excuse. So make sure your phone is powered or whatever your second device is powered. This has been a continual problem, unfortunately. If there's a second person detected, Monitor EDU will flag seeing somebody, and then if we see there's a difference in choices when that person is in the room, we're gonna consider that highly suspicious of cheating. There's lots and lots of ways, unfortunately, that we found people cheating. So just don't do it. We don't want to lose you as a student. You don't want to lose your chance to be a pharmacist. This is a really important thing. Let us know if there's things that might indicate that you're cheating ahead of time so that we can be sure that we're aware of it and try to work out something so that you're not accused of it and there is no cheating. Okay. So if there is a flag generated, they send us, Monitor EDU sends us a report within 24 hours for us to review. And again, they're either going to be green, yellow, or red. We review those. We review any recordings and match up the ExamSoft logs. And we look at what the proctor notes have said. And depending on what we see, we could dismiss it as that it's not a problem. So sometimes they flag things and we're like, well, that's no big deal. That's fine. But once we see that there's a problem, and if that concern is substantiated, the student will be notified. There may be a warning or a meeting will be set with the student, and your student usually is allowed to bring a student represent or a faculty representative with them. The faculty of the course where the problem is also going to be there, along with a faculty member from the academic integrity committee to ensure all the rules are followed, because that would start the action that's done. The university level college academic integrity process will be followed. Then we go into it's actually the university's academic integrity process per the student handbook. And you will be referred to the University Academic Standards Committee, who will review the case. And it's not just the College of Pharmacy, it's the whole university that takes part in that. Here's some student guides that have been made for you. They may be written guides, there may be some videos in here. I suggest that you look at all of these. Some of them are very quick. Some of them are a little bit longer. They're lists that you can quick overview for the day of exam, do and don'ts for proctoring success guide, live proctoring success, and connecting to a proctor. This is an overall with lots of instructions in there for you to review before you get going. So Monitor EDU, our live proctoring system, captures a full webcam recording of you and your environment. There's a real-time live proctor observing and will leave a log proctoring note at the end of the exam. If there's a flagged event, they'll have precise timestamps and telling us when to look for concerns. There'll also be an audio recording for background sound detection, and we'll be able to see what's happening with that student. ExamSoft captures all the keystrokes that you make and answers that you change. We can see all of that in real time, so we know when you did all that. We'll be able to, and this also will notice any secure browser lockdown violations. And if there's, it'll also tell us when you make your final answer, submissions, and timestamps. So we can correlate these two to try to put the whole picture together. All right. So when we combine ExamSoft and Monitor EDU, those two together exist to protect the integrity of your degree and to ensure every student is evaluated fairly. So while this seems like a giant pain in the neck sometimes, it's really to make sure that you are evaluated fairly along with all your colleagues in your cohort. If you have questions, ask your course coordinator, visit Monitor EDU, and you can always get a hold of me. This is Dr. Earl. I didn't even introduce myself, but all the best to you. You will be required to, I don't know where that slide is. I guess I lost that slide. To take a mock quiz with Monitor EDU, making sure you have your setup made. That is a requirement of your orientation. So we'll be sending you the information to get your ExamSoft account set up. We'll give you a mock quiz to take with ExamSoft, and you also should take that mock quiz at some point with a live proctor, and we'll give you the instructions on how to get a hold of your live proctor, and we want you to do that all by the end of July. All right, thanks so much. Bye-bye now.